Hello, this is Gene Thorpe in episode 3 of Little Red Rooster TV. And I'm here tonight. You know, now I've done this is only my third little show, but I've gotten a lot of feedback in the last couple of days for show number 1 and show number 2. So, you know, I'm just trying to keep a little bit consistent here, and I'd like to address some of the feedback. So, in our second show, we were talking, actually in the first show, we were talking a little bit about band names. And we didn't talk about, you know, nicknames, but band names. And George Gosling from Tabletop Productions, who was my manager for many years, and I was so proud to work with him, reminded me of Gino Barracuda, which was the name that he named me. And, you know, the Barracuda thing, well, I mean, it was a little hard for me because, you know, I was trying to meet a girl that I could marry like Sherry, and so, you know, but he was very good-natured about it, and I love you, George. And Glenn Grantham said that he wanted me to talk a little bit about the avalanche, simultaneous avalanche, which is so much fun for me to do. I stay in close touch with a lot of the fellows from Avalanche and the ladies from Avalanche days, including Harleen J, and, you know, I talk to Warren occasionally. And so, you know, how that kind of got going, as far as I could tell, was really, you know, I had met Rick Schultz down at a little club on J Street called the Looking Glass. It was in the 20s, you know, like, I don't mean in the 1920s, but in the 20 blocks. And it was just a little club, and I don't know how it ever happened, but I used to go down there. I had a box 12-string guitar and some kind of a little amp, and you could plug a microphone into it, and they would let me just plug in and play. So I'd go in there and I'd play anything. And one night I think I met Rick Schultz and his brother Tommy Schultz, and they were wonderful guys. They were just so nice. And that was a little time for me because it was after I'd already played in some surf bands and, you know, been in little bands. I'd already been a drummer before, and I was really experimenting and loving, you know, being able to sing and carry around a guitar. And I listened to Bob Dylan records all the time, and I loved Ray Charles, and I just always loved, you know, good music. And boy, when I first started hearing Stax and, you know, Green Onions and things like that, and especially Ray Charles. There was one record, I think, where Ray Charles was at the Newport Jazz Festival at some point, and I believe one of my friends, when I lived in Oak Park, had told me that they'd seen Ray playing the saxophone, which I would imagine that Ray could play the saxophone. If he wanted to play any instrument, I know he would be able to do it. So anyway, so I met Rick Schultz, Tommy Schultz, and then later George Gosling. I was in a band called the Yukon Daily. Yukon Daily was a wonderful little catalyst for me because I was singing and I was playing rhythm guitar, so that kept it to be a 4-piece band. We had a great drummer, Dennis Nielsen, and we had a very nice drummer, and I'm sorry, but I can't remember the drummer's name, but David Williamson was the guitar player, and he was the guitar player all the way through the Yukon Daily. But in those early Yukon Daily days, Rick Schultz and Tommy Schultz and some of the people, Jim Cuff, and some of the people from the Simultaneous Avalanche Light Show would come over, and like if they were at our gigs, and they used to book us out in the outlying little towns, and when we were out there, you know, because our name was on the radio when they would have bigger shows, we would draw, and those guys would come out and play our instruments in the intermission and call it the Simultaneous Avalanche Experimental Electronic Junk Band. Now they did it up at Kings Beach Bowl, at, you know, on Tahoe at some point. I don't think I was there at that time, but it was a big deal. Dave Keenan was in on that, and so that's how that name happened. And then at one point, Rick booked us down in San Diego with Quicksilver Messenger Service as the Simultaneous Avalanche Experimental Electronic Junk Band. And I believe Dave Keenan went down there, and I think, gosh, it was a good number of people. I'm sure Rick will help me. And I understand on Reverb Nation there's a site with the Simultaneous Avalanche, and and Gordon Tice is helping with that. And then on our website there are little stories of the simultaneous avalanche. If anybody was around and you can remember anything, please submit it. It's just so much fun for us to remember. We remember it differently. Sometimes when Rick and I compare our notes, it's different things. But anyway, music's great. So I wanted to just feature a little musical instrument tonight. This guitar right here. When I went on the road, which was right around 1970, I had a super reverb amplifier. No, the super reverb got stolen. I don't know what it was that I had, but I traded my real good friend who worked at the Vox Room with me, Bob Lemontia, for this guitar. It's a 67 Gibson Southern Jumbo, and I've had it all the way through. When I got it, it virtually looked new, and really it doesn't look bad. But when we were on the road for many years in very, very cold weather, if you looked at this finish real closely, it's chipped because it had been frozen a good number of times. It's a good old guitar. It still sounds good. It's a very nice guitar. And so Bob, if you're out there, I'd like to know more about this guitar. And everybody, thanks for asking the questions that you do. And we're just going to, continue along in this little show. I'm going to try to, expand my ability to tell these stories and get these stories recorded. And maybe some of you will like it. And if you remember anything or have any artifacts, photographs, we don't have very many photographs of the Yukon Daily Band, although that band played lots of different shows. We just don't have the photos. Back in the day, Rick and the guys had the agency, and they had pictures taken by professional photographers, but my goodness, I have never been able to find any. So if anyone ever has any of those, that'd be great. So this is Gene Thorpe, Little Red Rooster TV, signing out. Thank you.